Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. The sentencing and handcuffing of Mike Wolfe startled many across the United States. Everyone believed that a brawl over antiques or even a commercial dispute with the History Channel led to his arrest. According to breaking news, Wolfe was detained because investigators have determined that his former co-host Frank Fritz's death was murder with intent rather than natural causes as initially claimed. Fritz was discovered to have drug levels in his body that may have killed him, according to medical reports. Because it was premeditated and not an accident, Wolfe was charged with murder after he purposefully overdosed. It's difficult to see why you would drug a former business associate who had complete faith in you. Some may even claim that it's bad. Wolfe was already in jail and facing serious charges for what prosecutors described as a murder committed out of envy and greed, despite the fact that many fans believed the altercation between the two picks was only for TV ratings. But according to social media sources, Wolfe's charges were temporarily dropped as detectives gathered more evidence. According to a different report, Wolfe was initially taken into custody after an American member of the picker team abandoned him at Fritz's home after he passed away. After conducting a thorough investigation, the Iowa State Police pushed for first-degree murder charges after discovering compelling evidence against Wolfe, including his fingerprints on medication bottles and odd text messages sent to Fritz. Because of issues with Frank Fritz's toxicological reports, the inquiry into his death was initiated. Although complications from a stroke were listed as the reason of his death, the autopsy revealed that he had dangerously high amounts of prescription medications in his body, far greater than what would have been advised for his condition. This immediately prompted concerns, particularly since Fritz had been diligent about taking his medication as directed during his recuperation. The Iowa State Police started investigating in secret who had access to Fritz in his final hours. Even policemen who had previously done this were astonished by what they saw. On security footage, Fritz's automobile was observed driving into the house late at night from his neighborhood, almost 3 hours before the police were contacted. Wolfe called 911 late that evening to report that he had gone to see how his old friend was doing and discovered that he was not answering. Fritz had no pulse and was not responsive or moving when rescuers arrived. He was pronounced dead at the spot after attempts to revive him were unsuccessful. Initially, it appeared to be related to his prior stroke, but the lab results contradicted that. Investigators were particularly wary about Wolfe's behavior immediately following Fritz's passing. Instead than grieving as one might assume, he acted swiftly to seize Fritz's intellectual property and collection. He discussed purchasing the rights to use his name and image on future American picker items with Fritz's attorneys within 48 hours. He also went directly to Fritz's storage facilities to get the priceless antiques that had never been featured on the show, according to the production staff. Several crew members reported that Wolfe appeared remarkably concentrated and unflappable when discussing work so soon after Fritz's passing. A secret safe containing multiple unmarked prescription bottles that turned out to contain the identical medications that were discovered in Fritz's system was discovered by police when they searched Wolfe's house and workplace. The diary discovered in Wolfe's travel bag was the most incriminating evidence. He had written extensively about his anger toward Fritz in it. A few of the entries were from years ago and used increasingly offensive language. He wrote, "Free thinks he can come back and take half the spotlight again. Just a few weeks before Fritz passed away, he doesn't recall that without me, the show wouldn't have happened. He has become problematic. There is only one way I can preserve what I have created. The network informs me." Despite spending 6 weeks in court, Wolfe was remarkably composed. He sat silently by his attorneys while the prosecutors described how he had meticulously plotted Fritz's death. He had been researching poisons that are impossible to find and techniques to make a murder appear to have been committed by natural reasons, and the jury heard evidence of this. His online search history revealed that he had searched for queries, such as, is it possible to find drug interactions after death? How to make a death appear to have been brought on by issues with a stroke? According to the prosecution, Wolfe killed Fritz because he believed that Fritz's medical issues provided a valid justification. Former cast members of American Pickers claim to have witnessed concerning shifts in Wolfe and Fritz's relationship in the years leading up to Fritz's departure from the program and eventual passing, the judge was informed by one production assistant that she had overheard Wolfe insisting on complete artistic control over contentious discussions on the show's future course. According to the assistant, he informed Frank that because to his health issues, he no longer had the right to equal billing. According to multiple witnesses, Wolfe was become increasingly domineering, frequently disparaging Fritz in front of network executives and severing him from his antiques friends. Possibly the most poignant was Danielle Colby's passionate statement. She hesitantly took the prosecution's stand. She described how she struggled to suppress her tears when she discussed informing Wolfe what he had done to Fritz. "I noticed that Mike had developed an obsession with being the sole representative of American pickers," she remarked. "When I questioned him about settling with Frank, he became defensive and irate. 'Stop getting involved in things that don't concern you,' he advised me." Colby claimed to have approached Wolfe about some troubling notes he had discovered regarding Fritz's prescription regimen in his office. Wolfe said that his sole concern was Frank's health. The defense team attempted to portray Wolfe and Fritz as having a misunderstood link, and that Wolfe had made a sincere effort to mend their differences before Fritz passed away. Network officials were summoned to testify on Wolfe's public remarks endorsing Fritz's recuperation. However, Fritz's personal physician stated that despite his concerns about his health, he was hopeful about his recuperation and was planning to launch his own antiques company. The idea was severely undermined by this evidence. Additionally, the doctor stated that he had never administered Fritz such large dosages of the medications detected in his blood. During cross-examination, Fritz's previously maintained composure began to falter. When the prosecution directly asked him if he had given Fritz the medications, he became irate. "Do you have any idea how it feels to accomplish something while having someone else claim the credit? To smile for the cameras while everyone else believes he's equally crucial to the success of the show?" His defense team had to take a break due to his outburst, but the damage was already done. The jurors later stated that this particular instance was crucial to their decision-making since it demonstrated Wolfe's rage at Fritz, despite the fact that he had departed the program years prior. It became evident that the forensic accountants were after money when they discussed the odd changes they had noticed made to Wolfe's business structure. In the months leading up to Fritz's passing, Wolfe had been covertly altering his companies so that they could inherit his intellectual property, in the event that he passed away or became incapable of working. Additionally, he purchased a business insurance coverage for Fritz that, in the event of an emergency, would reimburse Fritz's company $5 million. Additionally, prosecutors claimed that Wolfe had created multiple fictitious businesses Fritz was unaware of and was investing valuables in them, totaling assets exceeding $2 million. After just 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with a guilty verdict. Everything went tragically wrong when the court declared that he would be imprisoned for life without the possibility of release. Wolfe had remained composed the entire trial, but he suddenly leapt to his feet and began screaming. "You don't understand. He was going to make everything worse. He was going to ruin my reputation." He rushed across the defense table, knocking up legal pads and water containers. Before the Biafs could stop him, he was already swinging madly toward Fritz's family as they chased after him. Screams and pushes for the hall's exits were heard. Taking an old walking stick that had been brought in as evidence, Wolfe swung it around like a weapon as he escaped once more, striking one of the Biafs in the shoulder. "I worked for the American pickers." As 3 additional police officers knocked him to the ground, he screamed, "This was my life's work." Wolfe continued to struggle violently, kicking and yelling about betrayal as cops attempted to subdue him. They removed the judge from the courtroom. Security had to escort Fritz's sister out of the room when Wolfe attempted to attack her while she was receiving punishment. "So I got what I deserved. It was my show," he cried. At last, they placed his hands behind their backs. The most startling moment occurred when Wolfe cried, "Tell them the truth about Frank Colby," directly into Danielle Colby's eyes while she stood in the hallway. Colby did not turn to face the other crew members who were crying. The American Picker family has been divided over the trial, with some presenting evidence against Wolfe and others defending him. According to court documents, in the years preceding Fritz's passing, Wolfe had been purposefully inciting crew members against him. This led to serious disagreements within the production crew that might never be resolved. Security personnel attempted to restrain Wolfe, but he persisted in his tirade, revealing even more startling details. He shouted that he would launch his own show. He claimed, "I was outdated, and the network wanted him back." Courtroom reporters reported that it appeared to be a dream. At least 3 individuals suffered injuries, including Wolfe's defense lawyer, who was struck by a flying water pitcher. He continued to rant about betrayal and his reputation, telling him that Frits had plotted his murder even after they had to haul him out of court. His violent outburst, according to his attorneys, essentially destroyed any hope of an appeal because it contradicted his defense team's argument that he was simply a misunderstood businessman who wasn't violent. In the days following his courtroom meltdown, Wolfe's former acquaintances and colleagues shared anecdotes about him that provided fresh insight into his personality. According to Thomas Reynolds, the former creator of American Pickers, when things didn't go his way, Wolfe would become quite upset behind the scenes. Reynolds claimed that although he maintained this ideal, amiable image on camera, he could be intimidating to new hires when he wasn't on TV. When the cameras stopped rolling, his entire attitude would shift. Others claimed that during the previous few years, his anxiety had increased. I was certain Frits had plans to return to television with a new program. Everyone involved in reality TV is shocked by this case. Despite having millions of viewers, worldwide, American Pickers' future is currently uncertain. All of Wolfe's programs were removed by the History Channel, which expressed sorrow and sympathy for Fritz's family's loss. Several large corporations have withdrawn their backing, and it is yet unclear what will happen with the